What is up, guys? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're talking about an anime, a manga, and I have it right here with me. Here's volume 1, but we're talking about the Frieren anime season 1, 28 episodes technically. I have the books that I had picked up and have been rereading here as well. So whether you've watched the anime or you've read the manga, if you're a fan, you want to talk Frieren and geek out with us, this is the spot for it. I have been diving into the world of manga more and more over these last couple of years, and it's just been amazing. So I can't wait to talk about this series. It's not just me. I have two co-hosts with me tonight, two diehard fans of this very manga and anime. So let me bring them on. We got my man Dan from TreeCityComics and Stevie from ConlonComics. What is up, fellas?
What is up, brothers?
Dude, it's been I know we've been planning this. We've been talking about doing something, talking something Frieren, and glad that we could line some stuff up, and glad that you both could, because I've been kind of having these great conversations with both of you for a while. I know you both are just meeting each other, but you guys are very much in the same as far as fandom, and I think you guys will hit it off very well too. But how's it going? Thanks for joining me.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah, it just kind of worked out. When you told me about it, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to like make it work with the night. And then it just happened to be the random week where I was not working tonight. So I was like, I can actually do this. So
when you said you were down, I was like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
He's in. All right, let's do this.
Out, so.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah. And hey, let me just say right off the bat, for anybody who's, whether you're tuned in with us right now, watching the replay, if you guys don't follow Dan and Steve, please do so. I put their links in the description. I've had both of you guys on my channel before. I've interviewed both of you guys before. I consider you both very good friends and great comic book resources that I go to, and I appreciate all the stuff you guys do for the community. So it's cool that we're dipping into what's newer to me, being manga and anime and all that stuff. I know you guys have your own backgrounds of where you fall with this stuff, but it's nice to see Frieren bringing us together like this. And for anyone who hasn't, if you're just like jumping into the channel randomly to see who's on right now, if you haven't read or watched Frieren, do yourself a favor and do so. We will be spoiling a lot of it tonight, at least season 1. So if you didn't want to hear any spoilers, maybe pause this and take a few days to go watch that and then come back. But otherwise, if you just want to follow along, feel free. We don't have any slides or anything, but I know you guys have some cool collectibles if you want to show some stuff off too. But I had bought the books, and that was one of the first things I wanted. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, it's funny. You have 1 through 7.
Yeah.
I bought the manga after the first season so I could see what was going on. So I have like 7 through like 14. Together we have the whole collection.
That's hilarious. That's great. That's great.
And season 1 of the show is basically the first 7 volumes. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Of the manga. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So
wild.
And so for me, I had watched Frieren. I guess this was last year. This was like middle of last year, and I just gave it a shot because I saw it on like a YouTube channel or some list of like, here's some really great anime that's out right now in 2025 or whatever, and that was like top on the list next to like Danfrom, and that was another one that I know a lot of us are fans of. So I just gave it a shot. I feel like, I'm into this genre, generally speaking. So I was like, okay, like, and I just fell in love with it, and so I watched the anime, and then as we've been starting to talk more, I was like, "Ooh, let me like refresh my memory." And I went back, got the manga, and started reading, because I do enjoy reading a lot of this stuff too, and I appreciate that a lot of it's very close, a lot of it's very similar. But I basically read, what was it, like volumes 4 through 6, and then today I just watched the episodes that are basically volume 7, just because I wanted to get it as fresh as I could in my mind for tonight. But that's where kind of my tie into all this has been. But Dan, tell us, like, when were you watching Frieren, or how long ago were you watching Frieren? Were you watching when it was first, season 1 coming out, or were you reading it first, or where do you stand?
I was late to the party, and I'm gonna tell you, like, my past. I was always mainstream comics, like,
yeah.
When I was young, I watched anime. I never read any manga. I had a friend who was Japanese that had the Shonen Jump, books, but they were all in Japanese. So you look at the pictures, you're like, wow, but I couldn't really read that. And but I did watch some anime. the typical stuff I think everybody watched when we were young, right? I watched Ninja Scroll. I watched Trigun is OG in my book. I love Trigun, stuff like that, but not a lot. And then only a few years ago, a really good friend of mine, Ish Mabin, he runs Comic Sense in Buffalo. We started talking, and he goes, you need to watch two things. You need to watch Solo Leveling, and you need to watch Frieren. And I said, no. He goes, I'm telling you. And I would, a lot of people would tell me that. I'd be like, whoosh, whoosh, like, just let it go.
Yeah.
I really trust him, right? It's like when you told me about Nightwing, right? I was kind of late to that game. When I read it, I was like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I watched Frieren, and it's interesting because it is beautiful and it's relevant. It's a cartoon. And so sometimes, especially when you're trying to talk to like people that aren't of comic book world, and you're trying to tell them you really should watch this, they're like, it's a cartoon. It's like you're telling them to watch the Smurfs, you know? Like,
yeah.
But it's so relevant and beautiful. And what Kanehito Yamada and Tsukasa Abe create is probably one of the most beautiful, poignant stories that there are. I mean, I don't know. Should I kind of talk about the premise of it, or should I wait?
Well, first, let's wait a sec. First, just like, I wanted to hear kind of how you were starting to read into it first.
He told me watch it, and I did, and then that was it. And then that really kind of propelled me into the manga anime world much more deeply. So like you watch, Dan to Dan. I'm watching Chainsaw Man. I'm watching and reading stuff all the time. Carol and Tuesday, Toradora.
Blue Box. You got me into Blue Box.
Blue Box, beautiful.
Dude,
I mean,
you got
Fragrant Flower. I love shoujo, like kind of romance type things. I love love. I do. You feel good. But
absolutely,
some people like Attack on Titan. I mean, they like the shonen. They like the fighting, the battle. I think what makes Frieren so lovely is it's got something for everybody. It really 100%. Does.
You're right. Yeah, all the different genres. If you want action, there's action. If you want love and build up of characters and backgrounds, there's.
You want comedy? There's plenty of that. You want drama. It's got everything.
Yeah, a little mystery. Yeah. Stevie, what about you, man? Like, where did you fell into the anime first, right? And then kind of went with it from there.
Yeah. So I know it had come up when just you and me were talking, but we had kind of bonded over Dan to Dan because you had made posts and stuff about Dan, and I'm like, oh man, I love this show too. I just kind of got into it randomly, and I'm not sure if you recommended it to me, but or you were one of the people that had recommended it to me. But I'm one of those type of people where like every year I'm kind of like in whatever genre or media, I'm like, what were the best of these? And this just kept popping up on like every single list. It was like every list of best anime for the year was Frieren, and I'm like, man, it was just like crushed everything else. It was number one on like just about every list I had seen. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I got to check this out. The fact that it was like when I researched it a little bit, it was about an elf and an adventuring party and stuff like that. I'm big into D&D, so that kind of like resonated with me.
Sure.
And honestly, when I started it, like it was a bit of a slow burn. I'm like, okay, like this isn't as like, because I expected maybe like more action or something like that, but getting into it, finishing it, it is a like master class in storytelling. It is one of the best delivered stories like and I'm not just talking about anime that I've like ever watched. The way they drop things and the timing of everything is so well thought out, and it's unbelievable, honestly. Like by the end of it, I was so hooked. I was just all in.
I love it.
But yeah, that's how I got just checking out lists, researching what was like on people's list for the year and stuff like that. And then I think you had brought it up to me or something along those lines, and that's when I was like, yeah, dude, I've heard about this. I have to watch this. And then obviously started getting into it, and I was just blown away. There's so many amazing elements to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just it blew me away. I couldn't believe, honestly, how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you, and it's been a treat to go through this again for my like kind of unofficial second time through, and I feel like this is something that there's so much storytelling even in the episodes that we're going to talk about tonight, the 28 or the 7 volumes, if you want to do it in manga style. There's so much that I feel like the rereads are just like refreshing, and there's something new I almost pick up, each time. And there's just a ton of story. And it also just like makes you care about like characters you didn't like think you would, and like they introduce certain characters to you, and you think they're just going to be these side characters, but like a lot of them reveal to have like these like heavy stories alongside them. And there's some that leave, and I'm like, I like want them to be more of like part of the main group and all this other stuff. So I think and Dan, I'm gonna have you do this, Dan. I feel like why don't you give us just like a high level premise of what Frieren is, and then we'll chime in. I just feel like your description is probably going to be way better than mine.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward premise if you think about it, right? So there's this heroes party that Steve mentioned, right?
Yeah.
And the original 4 in the heroes party was the hero. His name is Himmel. Frieren is the mage. There's Hyder the priest, and the priests are important in hero parties because they have healing magic. And there's Eisen the warrior, right?
Yeah.
And what you have is they've been on a quest for 10 years to defeat the Demon King. And they do. And basically what happens is after the quest ends, they disband, right? The heroes party disbands. And decades later, they get back together, and Frieren returns to visit them. And she realizes at that moment when she comes back that I don't know that it really sunk in at the time, but she recognizes that her human comrades age differently than she does.
Yeah.
And so
her being an elf,
because she's an elf, she lives for thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a drop in the bucket. They're 50 years, right? When she comes back.
And they're all old and gray.
They're all old, yeah. And so I think it starts to set in for her that that she doesn't, you start to understand that she didn't fully appreciate that 10 years and the fact that the relationship she had with her heroes party. She didn't understand that.
Right.
And so what Frieren really is it's not about the battle of the heroes party. It's about what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
And you get to see a lot of dealings with things like how you process memories, how you deal with regret, how you process time. It's just different when you're following Frieren around. So that really is the premise of it. And so what you have now is Frieren on a quest to go to the Northern Lands to basically go to where allegedly she can reconnect with Himmel, who's now since passed on, but she believes that she can connect with Himmel again. And I'll leave it at that. I don't want to give too much away, but I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
This is great. And also to clarify, again, for anybody who might tune in, like everything you just said there, almost all of it you learn in the very first chapter, which is
I was gonna say maybe almost like the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
When I rewatched it, I was blown away by how fast they get into Fern's character, and like basically her new like adventure, basically like them starting, which was crazy. But yeah, obviously time, lifetimes, what we do in a lifetime, the cause and effect of the choices we make in a lifetime are huge themes throughout the show. Yep. Which was really interesting. I also thought it was really cool. Like when I started the show, and I don't know why that didn't dawn on me sooner, the name of the title, At Journey's End, like it starts at the end of their the end of their adventure. I was like, this is just really interesting. And that kind of piqued my interest right off the bat. Plus, like I said, coming from like a D&D background and stuff like that, the idea always stuck with me that like when I'm playing in a party or D&D like that, the elves' lifetimes are massive. And like you're playing a human fighter that is like what she equates to, I think, 1/100th of her life or something like that. Like,
yeah, fraction.
And I'm just like, I thought those ideas were really fun to play with. So I thought that was really refreshing to see, like, what does an elf do after their adventuring party is over and disbands and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I thought it was a really interesting and refreshing idea for a show. So,
and the fact that like as humble as she is and everything, when we learn about how big of a deal this campaign that's now ended, it's a 10-year campaign, they explain, of the original characters. they're like famous at this point, or going into this. So now when they fast forward 50 years, again, all in the first chapter or two, her again, very, very humble, very young looking still. She has not aged one bit, and almost everybody in any town she goes into like knows her or knows of her, or they speak of her as if she's this legend, like this almost not real, myth, and when people run into her, they're like, oh shoot, you're her.
In one of the episodes, the guy that's leading them into one of the towns is like, now that I think of it, you look like the girl in the statue.
Yeah.
So they play with it a lot. Like some people recognize her, some people like dawns on them later because so much time has passed. But again, just hitting on themes of time, like time passing, what people remember, how their people are remembered, things like that. It's just a really heavy show. Like when it comes to those things, it really made you think. I loved how much this show made me think about stuff like that. Like it wasn't like, oh, that was just fun, like super, high adventure and high action. Like it really makes you think, and which is I love that show.
I don't want to portray it like it's a sad show.
Right.
That's why I said it's very relevant for us, because human nature is we don't know what we have till it's gone. No matter who you are.
100%. Yeah.
And you see Frieren grappling with that 10-year, decade-long adventure.
Yeah.
And she regrets not really appreciating it when she was in that moment. And now that it's over with, it's starting to set in like, wow, I really didn't fully appreciate all the things that were going on, all the people I was with. And now she's where she is, right? So it's not like she's sitting there depressed.
No.
The undertone of, she kind of understands that now. She's learning that.
I think it just deals with some heavier like themes. Not that the show necessarily is heavy, but like these themes of like death, like remembrance, things like that. Like, but again, the way they present it with the storytelling is just so engaging.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like heavy. It's just, like I said, makes you think almost. Like every episode I was like, wow.
And almost like, I mean, you feel happy too in the sense that the memories when they do the flashbacks, because I love storytelling that does this, like current day versus and you still learn deeply about certain characters. I feel like the memories that she has during these flashbacks are, many of them are happy moments, funny moments, her always referencing the priest as a corrupted priest, all those things, and we get to learn about them from that time period, and yet we're living in the present at the same time. So it's a very creative way to talk about these characters, that the author is talking about these characters, or the storyteller is introducing them to us, and yet it's been 50 years, kind of thing. So it's a really interesting, and a blend of feelings. By the way, I forgot to highlight the chat here. A quick hello to my man Ruben Guzman hanging out in the chat. Cowabunga, my friend. He says Frieren is excellent. So I'm glad to hear that you've been on board with this, Ruben. Hope all is well. And we got my good friend Sheena in the house.
Oh,
as well.
I love her.
Ninja. Good to see you, Melanin and Manga. Yeah. So, and shout out Sheena. Sheena is really the reason why I've really, jumped into manga and anime, period. And almost anything I explore is because of her. So Sheena, thank you.
Yeah, she should be on this show.
She honestly, although it's funny though, I don't know. I know she said her son was watching Frieren. I don't know how much she's watched Frieren. Sheena, let us know if you've been. I know you said you've dabbled in it, but she's got me into Chainsaw Man and Danfrom. She's a huge fan and everything. I was going to say she had got me into this book. This is the Alice in Borderland. I don't know if you guys are reading.
Oh wow! Well, I started watching Dan to Dan because of Sheena.
Oh really? Okay, yeah. So she like gives me a list, and I'm like, all right, I'll knock it out little by little. But she goes, what do you mean you were invited? It was in the I just put it in the mail. No, but Sheena, let us know. I'm curious how much you've watched of this too, because I know I know it wasn't like something you were into at first. You were into a lot of other things, but anyways, So you guys want to talk a little bit about the character, some of your favorites, or I mean, Frieren. First and foremost, I love. I mean, she is the best. The fact that she is this. Again, I keep using the word humble and respected elf mage that people continuously underestimate the enemies that she might get attacked by or whatever, even the colleagues that she runs into or friends that she makes along the way. Everyone underestimates her. They look at her, she's small, she looks like a young girl, and yet she is the most powerful mage, period, in this, in what we've read so far, or what I've read so far. And between that and the fact that she's obsessed with trying to find memoirs, and she really just wants to collect magic spells, like that's now her goal, the 50 years later, is to make, relive a lot of the connections that she's made, while also finding these things. And she keeps running into these like fake treasure chests that they call mimics, and she gets trapped in them, and she's like a big, like, she's like there's moments where she's like an immature or little kid, which again I think is very relevant and very relatable to who we all are. I mean, we're us three guys here, we nerd out about comics and cartoons and anime. We have that in us, and everybody, anyone here watching this has that in them. So I think
it's funny. A lot of it is very slice of life, like quiet travel. She takes adventures on, her and her growing crew, as they go in this adventure. But the funny thing about it is the forms of payment she takes. She usually doesn't take money. She wants grimoires. She wants, like you said, Justin, she wants to read about magic. She wants to learn more magic, right? So, and the spells are hilarious. It's like a spell to remove stains from your clothing, or a spell to polish your nails. Right. I mean, it's like, you're like, what do you need?
The one with the shaved ice, where she's like making shaved ice. It's like it's like a spell to make shaved ice. I was like,
they're like, we need money for lodging and food. She's like, but I got this grimoire. I mean, like, it's the funniest stuff.
Her priorities are a little mixed sometimes.
And half the time she knows they're fakes or ripoffs and stuff like that. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
The mimic is a classic D&D monster thing that comes from like So the fake hidden trust, they can disguise themselves. It's like a trap in D&D. So I love seeing that, because I'm like, that's straight out of D&D.
So, and you mentioned this before, so you're mentioning D&D, and I've never played. I've always been intrigued. I have the general idea of it. I like other things like Magic the Gathering, which takes stems from that, some of that stuff. But that's interesting. I had no idea that actually was like a legitimate nod to D&D, which is cool. I know like the dungeons and all that stuff is kind of part of that too. Building the crew. So that's just cracks me up for who she is and everything. And again, all powerful at the same time, like just so bad.
Yeah. I think they do a good job of that though. Like like the playfulness of it. And I think that's a big part of her character, especially when you get down the line to the exam, of like how she views magic, like what she thinks magic is intended for and stuff like that. It's a big like theme of the exam and stuff like that, especially the ending of the exam, the chapter 3 and stuff like that. As far as like favorite characters, I was definitely more partial to like the new party than the older part. Like I love Fern and Stark, and like some of the I wanted the monk to stick around. I wanted the other priest to stick around. Like
sign or
you mean Croft?
The
squad
push-ups in
next to squats in the cabin. There's a pervert in there.
It's a Japanese manga, but all the names are German. They're all German.
And the lands too. Like it seems like very much based on that. Like I thought that was very interesting. Like I was like, I wonder how that came to be.
That's a good point. And also the music, by the way, to me very much more like I'm living in Ireland. So that's a whole other side of things.
That's courtesy of Evan Cole, which if you follow his work, Evan Cole has done stuff like Josie the Tiger and the Fish, which is a movie you got to watch. Okay. He's done Violet Evergarden, which, I mean, oh my God, if you want to cry.
You're talking about soundtracks, like he's done.
He does the music, and it's just beautiful music. Yeah, we'll be driving in my truck, and I'll be listening to like the most crazy music. Like it could be Collective Soul, it could be Gin Blossoms, and it will bust into like Dr. Dre, and then all of a sudden Evan Cole will come on. Kelly, look at me, she's like, what's going on here? Like,
Are we on an adventure now?
When I was doing the rewatch, trying to like just cram as many episodes as I could before we were doing this, I was like trying to look for things that I thought really stood out. Obviously, the artwork is amazing, the storytelling, the music though. I was like, holy crap, the music
It's perfect.
absolutely
Punches it
heightens
up.
this show like to another level. The music is nuts. When things start getting serious, and like I was just the music is amazing in the show. And like I was like, I remember it being good when I watched it all the way through, but rewatching it again, I was like, it just really stood out. I was like, it's one of the best parts of the show by far. It's not even like, it's definitely up there.
Yep, 100%.
Absolutely amazing stuff.
Sheena said, "I'm basically a cult leader," getting us into all these great stories. She says, "Yeah, I wasn't into it at first. My son is in love, but I haven't been able to make it all the way through. I hope you do, Sheena. Yeah. I love when she gets trapped in those chests. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
You know, the nice thing about the way it begins. So the first, I think, 7 episodes is really like the first Beyond Journey's End arc, right? And so it sort of sets up, you know, Frieren coming, you know, the party ending, and they're reminiscing, and then there's a meteor shower when they end, and then she says, "Oh, next time we'll see it in a better place. I know a good spot." Well, the next time it's gonna be 50 years later, and they all joke. They're like, "Frieren, to you, that's really nothing."
Yeah.
But she does. She comes back, and you know that's not just the great part. The great part is then you see that the priest, the corrupt priest who always drinks a lot, Heiter, he's much older now, and he's taken in an adopted little girl named Fern.
Yep.
And he's worried because you find out that Heiter is sick, and he's worried what's going to happen to Fern when he goes. So he first approaches Frieren, and he's like, "Can you take her on as an apprentice?" And Frieren won't do it. She's like, "No, I don't want to do it." Well, then what he does is he tricks her. He tricks Frieren. He goes, "Okay, well, I'm afraid to die," and he's not. But he goes, "I'm afraid to die, but I believe I have this book that if you can translate it, it will help me to live longer. It'll help me, live." And he knows full well it's going to take years to do. And she tells him, she's like, "It's going to take like 3 years to translate this thing." He's like, "Well, I mean, what do you got to do?" So basically, what she does is he puts her up, and she's doing this translation. And he's like, "Hey, but while you're around, can you just show Fern a couple things?"
Yeah.
And what that does is it sort of begins to endear Fern and Frieren to each other.
That connection.
Yeah, that connection. And so by the time, I think, does he die? I don't know if he dies.
He does.
He does die. I don't remember the sequence, but basically then Fern becomes one of the parties of a Frieren, So that's beautiful the way that happened.
Yeah. And that also another thing I wanted to mention was the as we're talking about different themes and stuff, is just the mentorship that goes on throughout this is also something very relatable. I think of my own mentors, including my parents, and I've had a few, through my career, and like just seeing the different connections and the growth and the moments of frustration, the moments of learning, to me it like really hit home as well. I just wanted to point that out, that there's a few different connections like that, I guess.
Absolutely.
Through both.
They definitely play on the mentorship thing. I loved Fern's stories, honestly. I thought her, like, through season 1, her like full arc all the way through season 1 was really cool to see. Like at points, like I forgot how much time had passed, and they would hint at it. They would tell you like how old she is and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh man, she's been with her for a while now. At this point, it's like they almost like I love how they remind you, because if I'm just watching and I'm not realizing that, so they kept like reminding you like how much time has passed. And she's always like time doesn't move like that for me. We got to keep moving. Like, let's keep it moving. Like,
well, and when they timestamp it, everything, because again, the whole idea here is that they're traveling to the Northern Lands to go to the place where souls rest, so that Frieren can go back and reconnect with Himmel. But everything they timestamp is like X years after the death of Himmel the hero. Like with everything.
And even when they bring up going to that land to see Himmel, they're like, it's a 10-year journey at least. Yeah. And she's like, they're basically almost in their 30s, or she's almost 30, and she's like, oh, okay, 10 years. And because I think Frieren references as like another short 10-year journey or something like that. And the other two are like, 10 years, like, all right, I guess we're doing this for 10 years. Like, so like the whole time thing was really, I love the way they played with it through the whole show. It was really
there was a moment more towards the middle of one of the story arcs where they're traveling. They find a town that they want to settle in for a little bit. And Frieren even says like, "Oh, this is a good spot. Let's stay here for about a century, and then we'll see where we want to go." And Fern is like, "We are here for 1 week. 1 week."
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, I really wanted to explore," like all these things. And she's in her mind, like a century or whatever the amount was. It was just so short for her, but it was literally like an obnoxious amount of time. And Fern's like, "No, we are 1 week, and we are moving on." I also like the other side of their relationship where like even though Fern is the one who's like learned so much from Frieren, Fern is also like she has her own bits and her own they always joke about like Frieren and Stark are like, "Oh, don't upset her, don't piss her off."
Like how scary she is, like when she's mad.
Yeah. And Fern is like, and she goes on these little tangents where she's like, she's upset about one thing or another, and they're like, "Oh, don't bring me into that," and all this. It's just the humor in that is so good.
Yeah, and throughout the show, they do kind of like talk about like how she's like they mention Frieren mentions like when she gets taller than her, like when she's starting to look at the same age as her, when she's starting to look almost older than her, like like they remind you of this.
Do you remember the scene where they're in the wagon traveling and Frieren goes to lay down in Fern's lap and she can't see the sun anymore? She's like, "I don't want to lay down anymore." Like, she's developing more than Frieren, and there's a little bit of like jealousy there. But the interesting thing about Frieren, which I love it, is Frieren was trained by the great mage Flamma. And Flamma is notoriously regarded mage. And she taught Frieren to suppress her mana. And that's important because it's a dirty way to fight, right? Because, demons and mages alike can detect mana in the area. Well, when you suppress it, it does two things. You can't be really detected, but also it lets people underestimate you. You feel like they're like, "Oh,
weaker."
I sense no mana coming off of this individual. They must be weak." And she's anything but. I mean, she just suppresses so well. And so what you see is she's also passing that very thing on to Fern. She's like, it's not the best way to fight. It's a dirty way to fight, but you're fighting demons, so who cares, right? They're going to fight dirty anyway.
It's your life, right?
It's your life.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Like by the time you get to the end of season 1, like obviously Frieren is this established mage, but Fern is like this like protege that's like on a crazy level, basically. Like they allude to the fact that Fern is extremely powerful as well. And like I just thought that was really interesting, like this whole like almost tilt in power. Like obviously Frieren is incredibly powerful, but it almost becomes like the bigger issue, like story at the end is how the potential of Fern, which I thought was like insane, just really cool. Like I was like, I can't wait to see what happens with that, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting to see somebody like Frieren, who's an elf that can live for thousands of years, who can play the long game, teaching a human mage the tactics. Because a really good example, and we're jumping around a little bit, but there's like I think 6 arcs in season 1, the 28 episodes, right? They span like I think 60 chapters of the manga, right? But the last 3 arcs are about the mage exam, right? And basically to continue on their quest in the northern lands, you have to either have a first-class mage or be one. Right. And none of them are, they don't know about that. So they have to go and do all these tests, and they're life or death in some cases. Well, in the very first test they have to pass, they have to catch this bird that likes to be around water.
A still.
And what they've done, what's it called?
A still.
Yeah. and what they've done is they put a lake in the middle of the ground. So like everybody has to kind of come into the lake, and they notice there's no rain, and they get their random groups they have to be with. And one of the girls that is in Frieren's group, his name is Kana, and she can manipulate water. Well, there's no water, there's no rain, right? You find out that they put a barrier over the whole testing ground.
Like a dome, yeah.
Like a dome that prevents the rain from coming in. So they're kind of concentrating the water in a spot. Well, what Frieren is doing, while everybody else is fighting for their still, right, and fighting amongst each other, Frieren is basically analyzing the dome, which a better mage, arguably, than Frieren is another elf named Zeria, and who created the dome that is unbreakable. Well, guess who breaks it? Frieren. She's sitting there while they're all fighting, analyzing the dome, and finally, in the climactic moment of this arc, breaks the dome and allows Kana to have access to the water she needs to win the battle she's in that moment. So Frieren is much more like not just offensive defensive magic. She's in the moments playing the long game, which is really interesting to see.
A strategist and
much
very smart.
It was also that was just a really cool moment in the show. And I was gonna ask like if there was favorite moments or a moment that really stood out in the series in the first season to either one of you guys. For me, like the death of Aura was like by far my favorite scene. I was like, after that episode, I was like, I will watch everything that this show puts out, like whatever I like. It was unbelievable. The music, the animation, the delivery of like, and the story. I was just like, I was so in on that episode. Like rewatching it again, I'm like, oh man, I remember how much I loved this episode. Yes. It's brutal too.
This is with the girl with the armor, the army, right?
It's the girl with the scales.
Scales. Okay.
Yeah. And
her name.
The first time they're talking about the mana suppression and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh man, this is amazing. And then when she like drops that bomb on her, and then it's just like, you know, that's it. Like, kill yourself. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so brutal. It was amazing.
It is so good. And I love I love the one sequence where Fern and Stark are battling Luger and Lil, the demon.
It's like it's almost happening simultaneously, or right before that.
Yeah, it's like
that's happening.
Time frame. And in the beginning, Luger is very arrogant, the demon. He's like, oh, I'm gonna take care of it. And actually, he's one of Ara's like right-hand men, right? She's like one of the 7 stages of destruction. So she's like right under the Demon King. She's very big deal. And he's messing around with Fern until he starts realizing it's not a joke anymore. She's not easy. And he starts yelling at Lenny to hurry up and finish off Stark because he needs help. And by this time, you're really getting the feel for the real character of these of these individuals. You know, Fern and Stark, they joke around. There's banter. But when it's time to not be nice, it's time to not be nice. And you see that happen there. So it's just really neat. You know, if I can just add one other thing about that. Yeah. There is a prelude that just came out, and you can get it on Crunchyroll, that talks about some of these characters. Right? Did you get it?
I no, but I saw it was the release is technically this upcoming Tuesday or something. You have it though, right? Like
I don't know. I didn't know there was like I don't know how I got it, but
so when you showed it, when you showed it, I'm like, how'd you get it already? Because I mean, technically, like Amazon, it's like not out yet.
I had no idea, but so it talks about Fern, the early Fern, early Stark, Kana and Lawine, which were the 2 girls that were in.
I love them.
Friren's party. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
It talks about Aura, the guillotine, and then it ends with Frieren. And the funny thing about Aura, the guillotine is, you know, having read that, you feel bad because she encountered their hero's party before.
Yeah. They do allude to it in the show, but it's like a tiny bit. She's like under a log and she sees Frieren. Like I kill some demon or something like that, but she witnesses it when she's young.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's like a second.
Himmel really wounded Aura. Himmel really wounded Aura, almost killed her. And it took her years to recover. And so she's like, "Oh, I'm never going to underestimate my prey again." And she does it again. But the interesting thing about the sequence with the Aura prelude is, you know, Aura is one of the 7 stages of destruction. She's as bad as it gets, right? And it talks about her. I don't want to. I'm gonna talk about it anyway. I mean, it's still worth the read. But anyway, she doesn't like humans. Demons eat humans. Well, she runs into a kid in the woods as she's walking after she's wounded and recovering, and she realizes this kid is blind. So the kid has no idea that this is a demon. She realizes he's blind. He has no clue. She just strikes up conversation. She goes and meets this kid every day and just chatting and learning about humans. And I mean, I don't know if she likes this kid, but she comes to find out that, like, you know, that this kid is, you know, I guess not horrible. Well, end of the day, you know, his village gets attacked by another demon, not Aura, but somebody else. And she goes and she's like, this kid didn't show up. So she goes to the town, finds out that the whole town's been destroyed. And she ends up basically making the demon that did it one of her army, of the undead army, because she's like, you know, annoyed that he did that.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, you almost feel bad because I feel like, you know, demons don't really have compassion, but I think there might have been something there. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's the great thing about Frieren. You hate the demons, but you also can empathize with them a little bit too.
I thought it was really interesting the way they handle the demons when they're first introduced in the series, like, and Frieren is just ready to blast them like right off the bat, and you're like, wow, that kind of seems a little hasty. And then they kind of like slow burn show you why she is that way with them.
Yeah.
And when she shows that the Himmel story with the young demon in the village, and how like that was just a setup from that little demon. And I was like, again, like one of those moments where I was just like, oh wow, like when he's asking her like why she said what she said, and she alludes to like that word makes humans stop or like stop trying to kill me, basically. And I'm like, oh man, this is so well done. Like you understand why she is that way now, because I was like, when it first happens in the city, when they get there, I was like, it almost seems like Frieren is in the wrong for just wanting to like blast this royal party that is like a demon family. But you're like, you know, they were on a peace envoy, and then like again, like they just peel away layers and layers, and you're just like, oh wow, this is
here's the truth,
way deeper than you thought. Like, so I that was another one of my probably top moments.
Absolutely, yeah. And as a reader, as a reader or watcher, like you need that time to learn it. And I think it does a great job of revealing things little by little. So it does hit you.
Like I said, the delivery of the storytelling, like it's not just the story. The story's great, but the way they deliver it and the timing of everything that's so well thought out and paced,
perfectly crafted,
is like perfect.
Yes, Steve, you hit it on the head. The pacing is so well done. Like nothing too fast, everything in its right time keeps you engaged. And just when you're kind of getting in a place where you feel comfortable, they hit you with something and you're like, what's going on now?
It's not just an episode. There's a whole, like through the entire first season, because it leads to a reveal of like how Himmel became Himmel, like through something that had to do with Frieren. And it's like,
you learn,
it's just like this giant ripple, which I also thought was amazing, that like that moment set off this chain reaction that led to everything that has happened, everything we had seen, and not just like the past hero stories, what is actually going on now at the exam, like everything kind of stemmed from this one moment, which I thought was just really, really cool to see.
You know, another really good moment, and I'm Justin Verhagen, I'll let you go.
No, you're good. You're good.
Another great moment is the scene with the dragon where she's like, Stark, you take the lead and we'll back you up. And Stark is fighting the dragon, and he's yelling at Frieren up front. He's like, you witch, you were supposed to be there. Where are you guys at? And she's like, Stark, you killed it.
Yeah.
Over like an old bag or something like that.
Yeah, like you old bag. And she's like,
didn't even know what he was doing. By the way, I wanted to highlight. So yeah, she said this was from earlier, but she said, but then you start to understand why and getting to see life in her eyes. Yeah,
exactly,
for sure. Benegon in the house. What's going on, Benegon? Says Fern was born 11 years after the death of Himmel the hero. So yeah, very much still just a kid. And also she was saying, just like in Claymore, so her and I are reading Claymore. She got me into Claymore. I don't know if you guys have ever checked out that manga before, but and there's an anime too, but very similar in that a main character kind of being looked at as weaker than they are, and they essentially dominate out of nowhere, kind of thing similar to what we're talking about with Frieren. I wanted to say there were a couple parts, but one of the ones that from what you were bringing up, Steve, with your favorite moment, because that was mine too. I mean, that certainly was the thing that had me hooked to the point where I'm like, I will watch and read anything the series does from here on out. The other part, though, to that was I think the episode prior to that, because that was like episode 10 or 11. So I think like maybe 9. Yeah, I think 9 was where we got the first glimpse of Frieren's power with the kid, really it was the three of them, the boy, even though they're all
with the string.
With the string. He's in jail. To me, that was the first reveal of really like, okay, do not mess with this mage.
She's on another level.
And like again, that's where the music first kicks in, and like things just shifted at that point. I'm like, okay, whoa, like this, we didn't get any of that yet until that moment. So that was a big moment. And then yes, leading into the war, like the main battles, was all incredible. Dan, you were mentioning the 3 tasks and everything that were like in the second half of the season. I liked, so they call it the Continental Mage Association or whatever.
Yeah.
I liked how they introduced that and how they basically said like, oh, you need to be like a, what do they call it? Like a certified or a stage one mage or a
first class mage.
First class mage. So they're all like, "Ooh, that's a big deal to be a first class mage. You get access to like these things, and like it's part of a rare group." And Frieren's like, "What is it?" Like, and they're like, "Wait, you don't even know what this is? Like, aren't you like, and you're so powerful? We would just assume you were one." And she's like, I don't know, all these young,
she's like, I
all
can't
these new
keep up with
ideas. Yeah, there's all these new associations and things.
Well, it's all new, and it's formed by Ziria,
right.
elf, who is kind of being a gatekeeper, and
Yes.
also, by the way, not a fan of Frieren, who you discover was offered a role with Ziria and turned it down.
Yeah, I love their whole relationship too. I thought it was so that the like the Zarya and Frieren relationship I thought was a lot of fun.
Yep.
I love how when Fern is going to basically get like the certificate, Frieren's not allowed it, and they're like, no, you're not allowed.
Party.
She walks away. She goes something to the like effect of just the world's oldest child.
Yes,
like it was just fantastic.
But even that was cool because too, like how they, we got to learn their relationship from a flashback from when Frieren was with her mentor that you had brought up earlier, Dan.
Flama,
Flama, and so to see those two together, but then also meeting this other elf for the first time back then, and even then, like that elf didn't really seem all that friendly, and she felt a certain way about this, about her mentor, which we also learned more about as well, and how she thought it was silly that her favorite spell was to cast a batch of flowers and all this other stuff, and
that was her mentor's favorite spell.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Of the mentor,
a little bit of,
and so
it's the two positions of like how they view magic.
You're right.
As they play, one of it is like to like basically dominate, to like be more powerful, and the other one is to use it as like a way to make connection and like form friendship
or to make life easier. Or like even Frieren for the end of it, for her to choose, because once if you are deemed first class, you get to choose one spell of any spells that you ever want, and she chooses the one of being clean, essentially, or being able to clean.
Do you remember on Stark's birthday, and they're like all figuring out what to get him, and Frieren's like, "Oh, I got just the thing.
Oh, the potion.
It's a potion to make clothes disappear."
Yes.
Frieren goes, "You can't give that to him," and she grabs it and dumps it all over.
Pours it on her. Yeah, so good. And she thought it was such a great idea. Frieren was like, "He's gonna love this."
Yeah. But like, Frieren is so naive like that, and she's smart, but she's naive.
Yeah.
And Ziria is way more ruthless and practical. She's like, it's
But yeah, I thought that's what was interesting with the third test is like it's just that interview with her, which I mean, when you get past the first and second test, when that happened in the show, I was kind of like, all right, what is like this all about? Kind of anyone who's not on board with like her philosophy, the way that she views magic is a fail, like right off the bat. And like anyone that, because you kind of see where like Ubel doesn't even say anything.
Yeah.
But like how she views magic, like, and she's just like, you're good.
Well,
it's like everything had to align with her, like the way she views magic.
Well, she gets that vibe, and even with Verbal, right? She's like, what's your favorite spell? And he's like, magic is a tool for killing, and she smiles. What
was his name again?
Verbal.
Oh, Verbal. Okay. He too. And he had much of a darker warrior, vibe to him.
But then even again, like his story at the end, they still somehow tie it back to more of like a human, a human, like almost like nice feeling, like why he became who he is, and he's helping the old lady with the oranges,
right, and he's doing it to protect his town and everything.
I love your mind kind of played with that. You're like, he should be a bad guy, like you're not supposed to like him. Then tells the story, and you're like, he's not so bad.
Well, that's the thing about Frieren, like you're like, this guy's a jerk, but then he's helping an old lady pick up her stuff. I mean, did your mind get blown at the end when she's like, young man, do you not even have the decency to show up for the final exam? He's like, I'm sorry, I thought you might want that, so I showed up here. And she's like, no, you didn't. You're still at your house having tea. They zoom all the way to this dude's house where he's actually at.
Yeah, dude. I was
again, though, like she passes him because of like that ambition and that like almost cockiness that she's like,
he was cocky.
You're good.
Right.
Yeah, that was so good. The other thing I wanted to highlight too, as far as like favorite moments go, it has to do with Ubel. or Ubel, I loved during their labyrinth, battles and having to fight their own duo, creations or whatever. Her flashback and then tie into the current where she takes out the doppelganger of Senza. Yeah. So the whole thing with the hair and the scissors and all that stuff, and how badass she was, and how she talked about like she's like, I envision that I do this, that even though I'm weaker, even though like I should lose technically to like this other level of whatever, like the way she breaks it all down, I thought it's very encouraging and applies to I used to be a motivational speaker, and I used to go to high schools and colleges and encourage people to young people, especially to go after what they love and to have this vision of, believing in this, and things that you hear typically from motivational. But it reminded me of that because she was very, very much of the same level of like, you have to be so confident and envision that you can do this in order to do this. And because of that, she could do this. And because of that, Zenza, she was saying, I'll never be able to beat her because I can't get over that hump of even picturing of beating her, or whatever.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the comments, I think that's what Benegon is alluding to. Like that third test, like they were like, if they come in with a doubt, they're gonna fail.
Yeah.
Like, that's what she was looking for.
Yeah. I love the interview with Metode where she's like, what did you think when you first saw me? She's like, I thought you were really cute and I wanted to hug you.
Yeah. Just being honest,
Yeah, I mean, but one other moment that I really thought was beautiful, I think, was when they were going to, was it Oberst, the town where they asked Stark to fill in for the dead son.
Oh yeah.
And they're basically putting them both through finishing school, and they put Fern in too. And that beautiful scene at the ball where they do that waltz, all hand drawn, the motion, true artistry, a simple moment, inconsequential to the story. They could have totally left it out and it wouldn't have changed anything.
True.
But that waltz to me was absolutely beautiful. And it was nice because there's this, it's like with all these animes and all this manga, right? The two characters like have a feelings for each other, but never will they tell each other,
right.
Yeah.
And that's how
anime.
Yeah. That's how Stark and Fern are. And in that moment, you really get to see what could be, like it was kind of really beautiful.
It's a great point. Yeah.
It was also nice to see they just kind of give him his flowers a little bit, because in that last act, he's like there, but it doesn't have much to do with him, kind of thing.
Yes.
So it was nice that they kind of gave that story to him before they get into the exam and stuff like that, where it's very Fern and Frieren, like the spotlight's on them for most of that.
And I like Stark's story too, of like the tie into Eisen and like the warrior and his regrets to like not be able to like have a good closing moment with his mentor, and how that's kind of bothered him over the years and everything. Like they all come from these different places of like, again, some of it's sad and some of it's of regret, and again, all things we feel, through life. And yet at the same time, now he's stepped up and is kind of the new warrior to fit in with the group and play his role and everything. And he's relevant. Like you guys brought up the dragon thing before. Like
I love when after he fights the two, when Frieren kills Aura, the two, when he's fighting and then they all meet up. And he's like, "Aren't you proud of us?" And she's basically like, "I wish you weren't as beat up as you are right now."
Well, that's the nice thing about it. Like, they're so influenced. Like, Himmel clearly influenced Frieren to be better and to appreciate these moments and to be present in the moment. And you see, Eisen definitely impacted Stark. I mean, that was his mentor, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't end in a good way, but you do discover through the prelude and other things that Eisen still maintains tabs on Stark.
Yeah.
And
he was doing it for a reason, to kind of guide him into that path. Like,
yeah. I mean, the warrior, right?
Yeah.
The warrior path. And then you see Heiter and Fern, and you understand the influence there. So even, years after the Heroes Party is that original Heroes Party is gone now, the influence remains, and it remains in the part that you see before you. And I just think it's just so beautiful. And you constantly are recollecting, different stories with the lotus flower and just different things. It's so beautiful the way they tie these things in. I mean, it's a show where I would just tell everybody, like, you can watch it on Netflix. I think it's on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
The first season. And even if cartoons aren't your thing, comics aren't your thing, I would tell you, watch the first, like, just 7 episodes. I know that's asking a lot, but that's your first arc.
Yeah.
And if you can get through 7 of the episodes and go, yeah, it's not for me, well, at least I think you've given it a fair shot. But I will tell you, everybody I've asked to do that has said, this is a beautiful show. It's really worth it.
And same thing with the manga. Like, if you just read one volume, that's essentially you're getting that first batch.
Yeah, like I said, it is like, I know anime is not everyone's thing. I think this is something where it's like it kind of transcends the media that it's in. It's like, to me anyway, like Watchmen in comics. It's like, even if you're not a comic book fan, this is something you should read. Even if you're not an anime fan, this is something that you should probably check out. And again, like you said, like, you get into it, it's not your thing, that's fine. But the storytelling, the heart of the show and stuff like that, it's so well done that I don't know many people that have given it a shot and not wound up like on some level really.
And Steve, you hit the nail on the head, because it's not just the animation, it's not just a cartoon, it's the story, it's the pacing, it's the music, everything. It's like a perfect package. And I wonder if the creators fully understand. I think they do. They're on like a health break now. They haven't had any new chapters for a while, but I wonder if they really understand that, like you said with Watchmen, like, they've now shifted the culture. Frieren will forever sit there with, like, Attack on Titan. Like, it'll sit there forever as one of the greatest ever.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see, because like right now we have a small sample of it. We have the season 1. So to see where it goes, if they can continue the momentum, how long it goes for, things like that will play a factor. But for right now, this one season to me in this package is like, it's definitely up there as far as in my tops, as far as anime is concerned. It's right up there with some of the greats.
The other thing I wanted to highlight too was the action scenes that we do get throughout all this. The visuals, I think, play such a big role too, even though it's not all action per se. But for the stuff that it is, I love it. The way that, like, shielding comes up even when there's spells being cast and things kind of flying at them, like almost like a bubble, a shield bubble protection, like when you see Fern doing the stuff. Or I don't know, just like even the battles of the doppelgangers and all that stuff. I thought all of it was so visually just stunning. And then of course the visuals of the locations that they travel to, like the actual, like even our thumbnail, like just seeing again, I feel like I'm in like Ireland or something.
Yeah,
you see
the
these
world
hills and
creation.
Like all that, like the coloring and the brightness of everything. Like I thought all that, like I think visually it is up there too as like just one of the best, at least that I've ever watched.
Some of the spell casting animation is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Certain spells and stuff like that really, really look amazing in the show. The one scene, and I know I keep harping back to like this one part of this arc, when the battle that we have been talking about against the 2 demons with Stark and Fern, where she's like levitating in front of the moon, and he realizes that she reminds him of Frieren, and they flash like the detail in that shot it's just gorgeous. Like I was like, wow, this is some really amazing stuff.
Well, the funny thing is the way it ends. I mean, and it goes to show you, the real motivation behind Frieren, right? I mean, at the end of the day, she's rejected to be a first-class mage, when arguably everybody else won because of her. Nobody would have won if not for Frieren, right? She saved everybody, and it doesn't even phase her. She's like, yeah, I knew it was going to happen anyway. She predicted it. She knew it was, Ziria didn't like her, and she knew that, but it doesn't bother her. I imagine probably how Clark, I imagine probably how Clark Kent feels. He's like, yeah, okay, I don't have all the medals, but nobody can really beat me, so I don't have to lose any sleep over it, Yeah,
there's nothing to prove. They already know that.
They know
who they are. Yeah. I know we're coming up on the hour mark here. Before we kind of, or as I guess we wrap some of this up, and I will say too, we talked about, backstage, like, I definitely want to do another one of these, because this is, clearly, look, we could break down like episode by episode. Maybe that's something we do down the road or something. But I feel like there's just so much to touch on for what we're covering here. One other item I wanted to cover was the ending of season 1. And I pulled up. I was just pulling up the title. I was just looking back at the titles, and I don't know if they match necessarily the books, but the title to episode 28, the final episode of season 1, it says it would be embarrassing when we met again. And every time I look at these titles, I'm always like, oh, like what does that have? Because it's out of context, and then it shows up in the episode somewhere, and you're like, oh, like okay, this or that, or okay, that's clever. And so even for this, and I'm like, man, what a long and strange title. And this is like the end of the first season. Like,
yeah,
wouldn't it be a little better? Like that in my mind, I'm like, this is something a little more creative. I didn't know what it was though, out of context. But to find out that they're talking about the fact that Frieren, every time they make a new friend or they meet a new companion of some sort and they leave them, it's a short goodbye. It's a very short.
It is no goodbye.
There's essentially nothing. And Stark and them and Fern are like, that was for the amount of time we spent with them. Like it was like a wave and that was it or whatever. Like Frieren, what's up with that? And all she does is think back, and you get this cool flashback. And she thinks back to Himmel and how this was all, stuff she had taken from Himmel, essentially. But he has said that. He basically said, like, and this, I got like a little choked up on it, but like he was basically like, yeah, like I firmly believe that we are going to, run into each other again at some point down the road. And I don't see there be any reason to get all emotional or crying over a goodbye. And then he says at the end, he says, plus it would be embarrassing if we, if we met again, if you just, did all. And I just thought it was such a nice, like poetic, buttoned up way to finish the season, to finish that big story arc. Cause that was a major story arc. And it also just explains stuff that we saw throughout, the entire season of these short goodbyes or no goodbyes. And it was just a nice way to bring Himmel back into the picture as well, which I feel like I want more Himmel. That's another part of it to me is just he seems so ahead of his time mentally and who he was.
And they're also I think the part of it is they're alluding to at his funeral, well, because they're talking about like how he never gets choked up, how he's not like a blubbering like crybaby when he says goodbyes, and when he dies, it's the one time you see Frieren like break down, she's crying. And the whole thing is like this next part of the journey is supposedly supposed to be like reuniting them, bringing them back together. And I think she's harping back to the fact that the last time she saw him, she was a mess. And then when she does see him again, it will be embarrassing. Like I thought, because I thought the same thing as you. And I like, man, this is working on multiple levels right here. Like there's multiple levels to what they're even doing here in like the last couple lines and just lines like of a, like not like huge visual. I don't even think they flash back to Frieren crying. Like it's just supposed to be almost.
They did. They
did.
They did.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She got emotional, but the only gripe, if I have to say, and it's such a nitpicky thing, the only gripe I have is, again, Himmel was the hero of the party. But when she comes back 50 years later, he's like this little like Oompa Loompa dude. It's like, did he shrink too as he got older? That doesn't happen. He should,
I agree, because I thought the same thing, because like Heiter dies like not too far after, like 10 years or so, or 15 years.
He's the same size.
And he's the same size. Like he's become like this. Yeah. I was like, Himmel just really aged poorly or something like that. Like I didn't understand like why he was so different. Yeah. And then like Heiter hadn't changed that much. As far as I know, they're both human.
Yeah. I got so hung up on it because I was like, man, that was a relationship loss. Like there's probably some regret there. But then I also think about it. I'm like, Frieren will live forever. How fair would that have been to somebody like Frieren to be with Himmel and he dies and then she's alone again? I mean, like, so I don't know. Like I can see both sides of it. The one thing I would say is I was a little spoiled with Frieren the first season because I came upon it late. I had all the 28 episodes. They were all dubbed. I could listen to them all in English. Mallory Rodak does a beautiful job as Frieren.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I thought they nailed the voice actor for Frieren. I thought it was
so
fantastic. Great. And it's so different from what I think of like anime and voice acting. Like it's such a dry delivery. Like I and again, like a slow burn. Like when I started watching it, I'm like, I don't. What I'm like, I'm not really sure exactly what everyone's seeing here. Like, there's some good, like, and then obviously it just builds and builds and builds.
Yeah, it just then it suddenly gets a quick trajectory. Not just I won't say anything about season 2 other than it's a shorter season. There's only going to be 10 episodes. There's 28 in the first season, and they drop weekly. And when they drop, there's no time to dub them. It takes time to dub them in English. So you have the Japanese subtitle, and I'm beginning to like that. Like the voices, they're on their own, they're lovely. You know what I mean? So
I hear that eventually that'll happen for me. Like, I'm not there yet. And it's funny that you're highlighting that in your process of like where you're at with the fandom of this. But I have a lot of friends who are just like, yeah, the forget the dubbed English. Like you gotta read it and listen to the original voice actors and all these things. And I'm like, I was like, I just don't want to read and watch. Like if it's a visual,
I know.
But I hear people say that
and then there are ones where I've gone back and watched the Japanese version
like
with subtitles, like as the second time kind of thing.
Okay.
Because I think some stuff does get a little bit lost in translation and left up to interpretation sometimes when it comes to dubbing, which is what I've noticed. So sometimes I'll watch it dubbed, but with subtitles, because the subtitle is a little bit more of an accurate description of what is actually supposed to be being said and portrayed in this scene kind of thing. I don't know if there's too much of a difference with Frieren. I've noticed it in other ones where I'm like, that's not even close to what that character just said. The subtitle just told me what they were supposed to be saying. Like, So, but yeah, I've gone back and watched some, not all of them. I normally just watch dubbed. If I really love it, then maybe I'll go back and watch it in the Japanese and with subtitles.
Yeah, I'll give it another try.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, this has been great. Even like going through and rereading these, I do want to do another kind of like just deep dive on my own of rereading some of this stuff, and I do want to get into volume 8 or the next season here. So that's next on my list. That's a high priority for me. But guys, this has been awesome. I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. And it's kind of been a long time coming, just trying to talk about it and plan stuff out. And I definitely want to do another one. So for anyone watching, keep an eye out. And again, if you're not watching or if you're not following Dan and Steve, make sure you do so. I put their links in the description below. Is there any final thoughts or anything that you guys want to tack on here before we kind of wrap up?
I'll let Steve go first.
Oh, no, just, thanks for having me, Justin. I always love talking to you. And like you said, it could be about anything. So it's easy to talk to. But yeah, thanks for having me. I would absolutely be down to do more, especially on Frieren season 2. I'll probably wait till season 2 is released on Netflix to fully watch it as like a full drop. But anytime we I think the last show I watched besides Frieren the anime, I finally caught up on Chainsaw Man, which I really liked. My nephews had been
I'm going through it
trying to get me into that forever. So which I thought was I really liked as well.
Yeah.
Besides that, like I keep pretty close tabs on obviously Dan to Dan, Jujutsu Kaisen, and stuff like that.
That's
so
I have not been reading yet.
But Solo Leveling that Dan mentioned, there's another one that has been highly recommended to me. I've never watched Solo Leveling.
I started it.
I haven't watched it yet.
No, I've never watched Solo Leveling.
Oh, Steve.
So I might have to start that one.
Steve, it swept the Crunchyroll Awards. It took all the awards.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was another one that like kept popping up on lists when I was like looking at like best of kind of thing.
That you gotta watch it.
Yeah,
you gotta watch it.
I'm on the third or the fourth book, and I actually watched it first, and then I decided to like read it, and so I'm trying to catch up to myself watching back and forth. But man, Solo Leveling is definitely. I mean, I'm not, I'm still going, but just those first like 3 volumes are like it's so dang, it's crazy. Really good stuff. And the manga, and it's a different. It's because it's Korean or it's
Korean. Yeah,
it's Korean. Yeah. So the books are even different. Like it's actually the way, like
reversed
American style. Like you start left to right the way we do. Whereas manga like this you start to read backwards. So it's all been a little different, and there's color too to that, which is like a different level. It's all gorgeous.
Interesting.
But there's some hype moments in how we're talking about here, and like Steve, what you're highlighting is some hype moments. There's some hype moments in that.
Yeah, I would tell you if you pick up the Frieren manga, it's easy to follow. You can read it. I feel and I have the Soul Leveling books. If you pick them up, you'll be like, I mean, sometimes the whole page is just a blast sequence. You're like, oh my
Yeah.
God. And
Yeah.
so I would tell you, Steve, watch the anime first,
Yeah.
and that will grip you. I promise you, it's amazing on its own
It's
right.
on my list, so
Frieren is amazing.
I'll probably get to it sooner than later, honestly.
And again, as a D&D fan, Steve,
Yeah.
like, you're like it's gonna hit home, like even in that regard.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
a lot has to do with that.
I think the only thing I would probably say just to wrap up is, again, you know, I know, like, you know, you hear a bunch of guys on a show nerding out, you're like, what a bunch of dorks. But at the end of the day, right, like when we leave this planet, we're just the sum of our experiences. And I would just encourage everybody to try different things before you just write it off and you say, yeah, that sounds ridiculous. Because if the story was live action, it would be Oscar winning. I mean, honestly, it would win an Oscar. Like if it had some celebrities that you know in it.
And maybe they will one day.
And it could very well be live action, but because it's a cartoon, people are quick to dismiss it and go, yeah, it's kind of kiddie. It's really not. It's not like watching Bob's Burgers. I promise you. This is like legit a gripping story. It gets you in the feels. It can make you laugh. It can make you sad, but it gives you that whole range of emotions. And then with that, you get a beautiful story and you get great music and you get entertainment. I mean, that's what we want, right? We want to be entertained. The real world is rough enough.
Yeah, Bob's Burgers is amazing. Okay,
Dan?
No, you know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not going to. Don't write me if you like Bob's Burgers. Don't email me. I don't care if you like Bob's Burgers. I'm just saying. All I'm simply saying is, like, you know, the world is already rough, right? Like,
yeah. Honestly, I 100% agree. Like, I was not a big anime manga fan. Like I said, I've kind of bonded over it with Justin a little bit. It's easier when you have people to talk to and bounce it off of, stuff like that. And I've found some great stuff. So yeah, I would just recommend, like, give it a shot. Like I said, get 7 episodes in. They're 24-minute episodes on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, you know, like
Just
you're
watch the first
investing
arc.
months here. Like, and if it's not for you, it's not for you. But it's definitely something I would recommend to people to check out, whether you're a fan of anime or not.
Listen, what you guys are saying here, I shout this very same thing when I tell people to read Nightwing by Tom Taylor. And I say it in the same way that I say it for myself. I was not a DC guy. I was not a Nightwing guy. Had no real knowledge of Nightwing other than Dick Grayson from the movies, you know, the you know, some scenes that from the films. And that's it. And I'm like, and they're, you know, I said, just read this thing because it is the most, it just is going to hit you. And in that same, and for that same reasoning as what you're pointing out, Dan, like, yeah, this Frieren is going to hit you. And if you're at all into feeling emotions like that and being entertained at the same time, just like any movie or anything else, like, this is just something else to add on to. So to add to your point, Dan, like, I always encourage anybody to just be open-minded, period.
Yeah.
For all mediums. I mean, I do, aside from this, you know, this is manga, and aside from comics, I also do a music show on this channel now that I've been launching with my friends, Broke Boy Comics and Big Daddy Ross. And we literally have been, like, suggesting albums to each other. And I do full listens to that in the same way and I'm very much just like, it might not be my style, it might not be what I'm into or whatever, but, like, let me just give it a shot. And I've been introduced to so many new things because of that. So yeah, that mindset, period, just it's always just better to have in life, to just give it a try, give whatever. When you told me about Blue Box, Dan, when I first saw that, I was like, oh, it's about
I felt so dumb telling you about it, Justin. I'm like, okay, it's about a girl that plays basketball and a guy that plays badminton. You're like,
when you said that, I'm like,
cool.
I'm like, all right, Dan. But because it was you, Dan, and I'm like, all right, like, Dan's into this. I trust Dan's opinion. And if it makes you feel some type of way, that's all I need. That's all I need. So, and I appreciate you giving me that.
Doesn't it get you?
Totally, man. And Steve, you should give this a shot too. It's different.
I have heard of it. I've never watched it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah. And not to be confused with Blue Lock, because every time I bring it up, people are like, "Oh yeah, I've watched Blue Lock." I'm like, no, Blue Box. It's a little different. It's not about soccer. It is a sport thing, but it's different though.
I did watch an anime called Blue Exorcist. I guess blue is like a big thing.
Anyways, well, again, thanks guys for doing this. For anybody who's been hanging out here in the live chat or watching the replay, we appreciate you. Check out, by the way, since Sheena's been hanging out here, check out Melanin Manga if you guys are not subscribed. to her channel, because things that she's doing with Inja and Kelly and Jordan and other friends and guests that she's been having on there, including myself. It's been a lot of fun to just see all the different things they're exploring with manga and everything else that we love. So anyways, anyone else that's into this stuff, keep an eye out on Instagram. We'll post something here, I'm sure, in the next few weeks or so, or maybe we'll aim for a month or two. Once Steve and I have caught up to where Dan is, and then we'll aim to put something else together. Exactly. Yeah, come through for sure. Anyways, all right, well, we'll wrap that up. Appreciate everybody. Go watch some Frieren or read it. Either way. But until next time, we'll talk to you.